Hi. Finally got the tank to the point where I can actually clean it all up, made all the various inserts that it needs to be done, all the internal tubing, blah blah blah, so now we're sticking with the foam in. A couple of last things I'm going to make today. These are the threaded units that go for the glands, excuse me, which are here. These are the glands for the electrical connections for the fuel tank. So the fuel pods now, they're going to go one on either side there. See one here, another threaded bung. It's just going to fit in the back here. Let's pull that pipe all the way. Like so, and that will be the vent line. So when you're filling the tank there, the air that will escape above this, because obviously the fuel filler's quite a bit higher, will come out of the vent and will go back to the cap. So it'll allow you basically to fill the top of this. And the last thing what we done was basically had to do a kick out for the fuel sender. I had to put the fuel sender in about an 8-degree angle from horizontal so that the tube for the sender itself missed everything basically. So that goes in there. So I'm pretty close to doing the final weld on. There's two, so we have the two pass-throughs. There's a tube here for the gear linkage, blah 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 blah. But whatever, filling with the foam. Buy the foam from ATL. This comes in square blocks. You have various sizes you can buy, but basically it doesn't really matter. It's, at the end of the day, if you put it in various pieces to get round. So if I pull this away, you'll see I've already sort of sculpted this. Now, the fuel pump itself, because I've put the pumps quite low down and put these O-ring units here, due to something I won't go into, I shall end up, there you go, let's put that into there. I'm having to run the electrical connections from the top down to the pump, so when I pull the fuel pump out from the side, I'll basically have to undo the electrical connections to here and leave them in the tank and pull the thing out. I was hoping to have the electrical connections on this plate, but all the mil-spec connections are a thing. Nobody would give me a guarantee they won't leak. The best I got was, well, it'll probably last for 6 months, then you'll have to change the gasket. Well, I don't really want to be pulling these things out every 6 months. I probably will do the first winter just to check the bag filters, but that's about it. So yes, so at the end of the day, what's going to just be on here will just be one weld on dash fitting, like so. So annoying, but I didn't want to take the chance of any fuel leaking out the electrical connection, the outside. So now I'll put the electrical connection at the top, which means I've got to run cable through the tank to it. Now, as much as running the cable through the foam, not a problem. But if I get it rubbing against the inner here or in the, I don't really want that. I don't want a chance of something arcing out. So basically, I'm going to run a silicone hose. This is just a bit of hose I found in there for the moment. I'll run a silicone hose down from where the point is, down to the pump itself, and the cables will only be exposed where they need to be with a kind of a loop. So that's why it's there. Obviously the pump itself needs a void around it. There's no point putting the foam right up against it. You want to allow the fuel to get out of the foam and pull nicely around there, just in case we're sucking the foam or sucking the fuel out too quick for the foam. So we have a void around here. We also, this is why I've got a kind of a fancy shape to this. So we put that back in, like so. There we go. Also scalloped in the corners here. Will be scalloped all in the bottom, because obviously I've got to weld this edge now. Welding this edge up, you will invariably end up burning part of the foam and melting it. But if I've melted it a few times on things, and basically it just tends to contract. But there's not much I can do about that. I need the foam in just to stop the damn thing if it ever does become cracked. And it's just an explosion-proof way of doing things. Right, where the filler is, I have noticed I did this on my GT40. Which as I didn't have this on the GT40, there was no void around where the filler comes into the actual tank, and there was no void along the top of the tank. So basically what would happen, your fuel nozzle will click, click, annoyingly. So just couldn't put the fuel in fast enough. So what I did when I did my last car tank is I basically left 3 inches on the top of the tank for an air void, and also for a fluid void. Now I don't want to do all the way down to the cap on this one, so I've left a square area here, but then a void on the top. It should allow the fuel to be able to fill the tank at a reasonable rate. So yeah, we need spaces around the pickups, we need spaces around the actual filler area, enough to allow me to fill it fast enough and to empty it fast enough. Now obviously around this side and around the swirl pot, we don't need to worry about anything, so pretty much that's maximised. I can get it in there. This again, now I've got to build the foam up around the tube that's here. There'll be another pass-through tube that'll be there. Now I've got to build the foam up around there, and yet again build a void here. Do it in 2 phases, so do one part to the back and then part to here. Makes it easy to go around these pipes, and also makes it easy then to give them a nice track to cut down the foam to put another piece of silicone pipe from the connection back down to the pump. So yes, finally filling with foam, and hopefully with any luck by tomorrow afternoon I'll have done pretty much all the welding on the tank itself. Got a couple of bits on the side plate, but to be honest I'm going to give that to my mate because I really don't want to screw them up. It's real heavy to really light gauge. I'm going from 3/8 thick to something that's only about 60 bar thick, so I'm going to give that to him for the sake of an hour. I don't mind throwing him that. So yes, fuel tank finally filling it up with foam. I've got the tubes for the chassis on the car that's on the jig at the moment, the 962, so hopefully by tomorrow afternoon I should be starting to mock up that. But at the moment I just want to get my fuel tank finished and done. Yes, that is the wife's carving knife, but to be honest it is pretty much the only thing that cuts this with any accuracy. But like I say, you end up with a load of sort of insert parts, which would be good if you needed a small fuel cell somewhere. It doesn't really matter how many parts that are in there, they don't have to be one bit, as long as it just sort of fills the void. I think it takes up about 3% of the space or something, if I remember rightly. Can't remember off the ATL website. But yeah, there you go. So fuel tank, one more day hopefully, and we should be good. This thing just seems to have dragged on for way too long. Okay, speak to you soon. Bye.